All right, welcome back and many thanks for staying with us on Morning at NTV. Today we are discussing innovation in education with Samantha Neon Saba, who leads the Future Lab at the Innovation Village. Yes, she joins me right now in studio. Very good morning, Samantha.
Good morning.
Yes, I was having a discussion here that got me emotional, so emotional about street children who are on the streets, yet their counterparts have already gone back to school. So, what is the Future Lab, and might you have some recommendations for these young children?
Well, thank you for having me. At the Future Lab is at the Innovation Village, and we create value from innovation for our partners. And we do this in a couple of ways. One is by running challenge-focused accelerator programs, and these are basically we identify the best startups in the industry, and then how they can partner with industry leaders. We also build innovation capabilities for organizations, and then create opportunities where innovation stakeholders can come together, interact, spark new ideas, share best practice, and learn the latest trends. So I really do understand your passion,
Yes.
and we all have the same. And what we're trying to do is say, who are those people that are actually reaching out and creating opportunities for street children? Who are those that have innovative solutions? And when we say innovation, it's not saying an app. It's not saying a website. It's saying a new way of doing something. And in that way, we can then reach more people.
What kind of startups are we talking about?
So for the future of education, so it's startups in the education sector. However, the Future Lab cuts across different verticals or sectors: agriculture, finance, insurance, health. But this program is focused on education.
So, Samantha, here we are now dealing with the global COVID-19 pandemic. Uganda is grappling with 10,933 cases, but then the global scale, we are grappling with 40,600,000 cases. So the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the education sector. Is there hope for revival?
There is always hope. I think that in life, if there's no hope, then it's kind of not. So there is hope for revival, and I think that's what this program is focusing on, is that there is hope. There are people out there. We have a number of applications that have come in, a number of partners that are reaching out and saying, and even schools that are saying, how can we tap into these innovation solutions that you're getting, so that we can see how to scale them, to see how, if a school has 200 people, right, 200 students, then that's saying this business can impact 200 students and much more. So there is hope for revival.
Well, Samantha, much as so many of the learners are going back to school, like I mentioned, we still have school learners like street children who are on the streets, so they may never go back to school. And we are contending, out of the 5 million, we still have the 4 million plus that are still back at home. How best can we ensure that we protect the futures of these young children and ensure that we enroll them back into school?
This is a fight that is for all of us. This is a fight for, this is a fight for the government. This is a fight for industry leaders. This is a fight for, private institutions. There's a fight for entrepreneurs to say, how can we be more inclusive? And in that sense, it's saying, one, if it's about, is it about, employment-ready skills? Is it about being more inclusive in the way we education, the way education reaches the most vulnerable, and that's what we're trying to address at the Innovation Village. Is how can we be more inclusive, and how can we get all partners, from all different spaces to come in and work together.
Well, Samantha, we also saw the government print some education materials, they pass PLE and then pass it on to other learners. But then those in the remote areas, do you think they were reached by these education materials?
Of course, when we say newspapers, when we say technology,
radio, TV,
it might not reach the most vulnerable. So definitely, it was a good start in reaching those that are able to. To get newspapers, to be able to afford newspapers, but of course it may not have had the the impact,
Yes.
especially for the most
The
vulnerable.
desired impact. So
Yes.
how would the Future Lab circumvent such a situation to ensure that all learners are reached? What kind of innovations are you looking at to reach all learners within this country?
When we say when we say innovation, again, it's not just saying that just again an app. It's not just
True.
saying a website.
Yes.
It's saying how can we reach? And you'd be amazed by the number of solutions that come in,
Yes.
the creativity, the new ideas that young people have
Right.
to create. Because what they do is say that there is a challenge. There is a challenge in education, and this is how we believe in our community. And we are, we're blessed to have support from the Mastercard Foundation and launched four spaces across the regions. And this this is in Gulu, in Jinja, and Mbarara, and it's not just saying those locations; it's saying those locations reaching those regions, and applications are also coming in from those regions. So you find that these solutions are speaking to their specific communities, and of course, then we call upon partners to say how can then we bridge the gap? How can we collaborate with these entrepreneurs? How can we then create more impact?
Samantha, is it time for us to reimagine education as we know it with regards to the curriculum and the delivery?
Yes. COVID has taught us a lot, right? It has taught us a disruption, and meaning that we have to create more resilient systems because, after COVID, what next? So I think in
we
every...
cannot do things the way we used to do them.
Yes, and I think this speaks to every sector, not just education, to say that what systems do we have in place, even health, education, even agriculture, how are people getting food in health, were the systems robust enough? So there's definitely need to reimagine every sector just to create more resilience in the face of disruption.
As the Future Lab, what would you want to see changed within the curriculum?
I would say, at the Innovation Village, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, young people, right? And how can we make them more job ready? Our curriculum, is very theoretical, and we do learn a lot.
Indeed.
We do learn a lot, and
Canadian prairies and so forth.
they come in handy. They come in handy at times. And however, of course, there is from studying and getting into the workforce.
Yes.
There's certain skills that we need to know, we need to adapt, and not only that, it's if I have a bachelor's in mathematics,
Yes.
is that all I can do in my life? Maybe be a teacher.
Can I get a softer skill on the side?
Exactly.
Maybe in agriculture and so forth.
Exactly. So how can we boost these softer skills that we get and incorporate them in our curriculum?
Are you focusing? Are you also focusing on young mothers? I'm looking at a young mother who got pregnant during the COVID-19 pandemic. Part of the 60,000 young girls who were actually abused during this COVID-19 pandemic. How best can we inculcate some soft skills among these young learners, especially the girls, in that when they give birth, they have something to fall back to. If they cannot go back to school, they can maybe veer off into agriculture. What do you make of this?
And that's actually quite interesting because one of the tracks in the Future of Education call is employment ready skills.
Yes.
And that means that if I was a teacher or
Yes.
if I had a job and I lost it, how can I still get how can I get a skill to then do something else? And there's a key focus on women. And an interesting thing is our sister company, Motive. When COVID hit, they were able to employ, tailors to make masks, and now they're employing, I think it's more than 100 tailors, and these are all young ladies who now have income every day. Some of them, lost their jobs. So again, these are the soft skills, and saying that, which businesses are focusing on this, and still, of course, calling upon partners to come on board so that we can scale and reach the impact.
Of course, before I let you go, please acquaint us with the details about the Future of Education program. Who are you looking for? Is there a deadline for applications and so forth?
Yes, so the Future of Education is looking for, startups, is looking for innovative businesses, and is also looking for partners. It's also calling out to partners and saying, let's come together and reimagine the education sector. Applications close on 27th of October, and yeah, we can apply at futureofeducation.cda.ug, as well as and if you're unable to apply on the website, you can easily come to one of our locations, the Innovation Village, and you can sit through and submit an application with us.
Samantha Nyonsara, thank you very much for having made the time to speak to us. Child issues are very lengthy, and we shall make time and call on you so that we can expand more on this issue.
Oh,
thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us right here on Morning at NTV. I can already see in our other studio, yes, and the National Unity Platform members are already here to get into that conversation about that case that was dismissed yesterday by Mr. Justice Musa Sekana. We'll be right back with that conversation and a lot more. Stick